Good afternoon. My name is Camden and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be very exciting because I am doing a book haul, which is a couple months in the making at this point. I've been collecting all the books that I've been buying for like the past 2-3 months to be able to do this video. So when you see the extreme amount of books that I have accumulated, just know that it is not all done in a week's time or a month's time. This was several months in the making before I decided I had enough to sit down and film this. So without further ado, let me get into the books that I bought. I did save a couple of them in their boxes so that I can unbox them on camera for you. But starting off with the oldest one I have, I got A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. This one is one that I really wanted to read in the fall. It's like a dark academia boarding school type setting, and I believe that we are following a character who is queer, and I think she is like grieving the death of her girlfriend, if I'm not mistaken. But this one is set in the Catskill Mountains, and kind of the setting, the boarding school, Catskill Mountain isolation setting is what really intrigued me on this one. I have heard pretty good things, so I am still very excited to read this one, even though it's not really Halloween time anymore. The next book that I have is Sister Song by Lucy Holland. This one is like an ancient Britain inspired mythology, which I'm really excited about. I think this is gonna be kind of like Saxon-ish. I don't know too much more about it than that. I believe we're following some siblings on like an adventure or a quest or coming into their own or something along those lines. The mythology aspect is really what sold me on this one. So the next one that I got is one that I have already read, and that is Beast and Beauty by Suman Chinani. This book is by the author of The School for Good and Evil, which I haven't read but I do own, and it is like a fairy tale collection of kind of rewritten fairy tales. It really gave me vibes of like Language of Thorns, if you've read that one by Leigh Bardugo, where it's like takes kind of a normal fairy tale concept and it twists it into something that's a little more modern day and a little more palatable as far as like the endings go and stuff like that. So this one is really beautifully illustrated. I really did enjoy it. Let me see if I can find a good illustration for you guys. So we have like a Hansel and Gretel one, Peter Pan, Beauty and the Beast. Overall, I really enjoyed this one. I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars. I can't remember which, but definitely, yeah, if you guys enjoy like a fairy tale type story, consider picking this up. In a kind of similar vein to that one is Story of the Saints. This one is by Carrie Wallace and illustrated by Nick Thornborough. This one is like a collection of all the different saints and what the stories behind their like martyrdom is. I did start this one, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not totally piquing my interest. I'm like a few stories in, and I don't know why I didn't realize this before, but every one of the characters, like every one of the stories, there's like a violent, gruesome death, which like, duh, obviously Camden, because otherwise they wouldn't be saints. But anyway, I'm gonna power through, and I think it might get better as like as we get out of like Roman times and into some saints I'm more familiar with, like St. Patrick and Joan of Arc. So I'm gonna keep pushing through and we'll see how I feel in the end. The next book that I grabbed is Dark and Shallow Lies by Ginny Myers Sain, I think it's pronounced. This book looks really interesting. It is set in like the bayou in Louisiana, and it's about a character who goes missing in like a town of psychics, and her best friend is like trying to investigate what happened to her and wondering like how she can possibly go missing in this town where like everyone's supposed to know the future and what's going on and stuff. So they're investigating that, and I think there's like a boy who's like part of the swamp or like a swamp creature or something like that who's like helping to locate her. So I'm really interested in this one, particularly the psychic aspect, and also the setting sounds really amazing and atmospheric, so hoping to get to this one soon, as with all of these. The next book that I have is Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. This book looks super, super intriguing to me, which is really weird because I don't think I've seen like a single person talk about this one yet. It has been compared to A Little Mermaid, and to me it really reminds me of the book The Deep by River Solomon. It is about a mermaid who is tasked with collecting the souls of those who have drowned and kind of guiding them to the afterlife. And one day she does kind of the unthinkable when she actually rescues someone who is drowning and like delivers them safely to shore and saves their life. So obviously you can see where the connection to Little Mermaid is drawn, but of course she kind of knocks everything out of balance by making this decision, and the plot takes off from there. So I am really, really excited to read this one. I'm going to be reading books to celebrate Black History Month in February, and I really, really want to pick this one up then, because this one is like top of my list of books that I'm like really excited to read, so can't wait. Speaking of Black authors, I also picked up Trouble the Saints by Alea Dawn Johnson. This one has a little bit of a vague synopsis, but it does talk about, I believe our main character is like a knife thrower or maybe like an assassin or something. It mentions her skill with knives, so I'm excited to see what that's about. And it is also set in like the underground of Manhattan, which I think is a really cool setting. So I'm probably going to pick this one up in February also. The next one that I have is a thriller, and that is No One Will Miss Her by Kat Rosenfield. This book's cover is like literally to die for. Probably one of my favorite covers that I've ever seen. I love like the burning leaf. Hold on, let me focus so you can see it. Like the disintegrating leaf vibe that we have going on. But this book is set in Maine, which is where I was born and raised. And it is about a woman who is like, you know, exactly as the title says, is kind of like the town pariah. And when she goes missing, no one really misses her, and no one's really putting in the effort to search for her, except for a couple of characters who we're following in this book. This is something that I feel very strongly about in real life, where people who have committed crimes or maybe have drug addictions or are homeless or something along those lines go missing, and nobody really cares to cover them. No one really cares to cover their stories. So I think this one is really gonna hit home for me hard, because it's something that I feel very passionately about, and I'm really excited to read this. We are getting close to the end of the pile now. The next book that I have, which my husband bought for me, is Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. This is the author of The Merciful Crow. I don't know if it's a series or duology. I know the first book is called Merciful Crow. I don't remember what the series is called or what the second book is called. But this is the author of that. This one came out recently, and it is like a Goose Girl retelling with a lot of German influences in it. I really love this type of fairy tale retelling where it takes like a lesser known and underappreciated fairy tale and retells it. So I was really excited to pick this one up. It follows a main character named Vanya, and she takes the place of a princess and uses this new disguise and position of power she finds herself in to con people, steal from people, and just generally cause trouble. I am like a third of the way through this one, and I'm really enjoying it so far, so I'm excited to continue on with this one and finish it soon, hopefully. In the same trip, my husband also bought me this bad boy. This one is over 1,000 pages. This is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is like a hefty high fantasy novel, and I've been eyeing it for a really long time, but it intimidates me, so I'm probably gonna put out a vlog just reading this one brick of a book. You could really do some damage with this one. All right, so that is it for the books that are loose right now, and the last ones that I have are all in boxes. So I'm gonna open those for you now. So, first one, me not flashing my address by accident. That would be bad. Okay, do I even remember what these are anymore? Oh, this one is such a beautiful cover. This is Ghost Sequences by A.C. Wise. This one is short horror story collection, which I'm really interested in, and this one has super duper high ratings, so I'm really excited to read this one. I wanted to read this one in the fall, never got around to it. Very unfortunate, but I really want to read this one soon. Right, next one. This one is Wish You Were Here by Jodi Picoult. This is an author that I really love. She's written a lot of books that I'm really invested in, and one of my favorite books of all time. And this book is actually about the COVID-19 pandemic, which I know it's kind of a little bit too soon to be reading books about it. But I did want to get my hands on this one just because it's one of my favorite authors. So I might wait a little while to read this one just because I just lived this pandemic and I'm still living it now, and I don't know if I'm ready to like read about it, but when the time comes, I'm sure this one is gonna knock it out of the park. Jodi Picoult always does. And then the last box that I have is my book of the month box for the month of December, and I am so excited for this one because I won my reading challenge with book of the month this year, which means that I won a pair of free socks. I've been so stoked for these to arrive all this time. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. This one has the little book emojis on it, and this one says, "Not now, I'm reading," which is definitely my vibe. These are adorable and I want to try them on immediately. They sent me a little card and it says, "Congrats on completing the 2021 reading challenge." All right, and then I have the books. The first one I got was A History of Wild Places. I don't fully remember what these ones are about, so I'll just read the description to you. Travis Wren has an unusual talent for locating missing people. Hired by families as a last resort, he requires only a single object to find the person who has vanished. When he takes on the case of Maggie St. James, a well-known author of dark, macabre children's books, he's led to a place many believe to be only legend. Known as Pastoral, this reclusive community was founded by like-minded people searching for a simpler way of life. But soon after Travis stumbles upon them, he disappears, just like Maggie St. James. Years later, Theo, a lifelong member of Pastoral, discovers Travis's abandoned truck beyond the border of the community. No one is allowed in or out, not without the risk of bringing a disease, the rot, into Pastoral. Unraveling the mystery of what happened reveals secrets that Theo, his wife Calla, and her sister Bee keep from one another. Secrets that prove their perfect isolated world isn't as safe as they believe, and that darkness takes many forms. Ooh, that sounds delightful. All right, and this one is A Flicker in the Dark. This one I think is an early release. So this one actually comes out in January, I believe, but I get an early access to it, so I'm very excited. This one says, when Chloe Davis was 12, 6 teenage girls went missing in her small Louisiana town. By the end of the summer, her own father had confessed to the crimes and was put away for life, leaving Chloe and the rest of her family to grapple with the truth and try to move forward while dealing with the aftermath. Now, 20 years later, Chloe is a psychologist in Baton Rouge and getting ready for her wedding. While she finally has a fragile grasp on the happiness she's worked so hard to achieve, she sometimes feels as out of control of her own life as the troubled teens who are her patients. So when a local teenage girl goes missing and then another, that terrifying summer comes crashing back. Is she paranoid, seeing parallels from her past that aren't actually there? Or, for the second time in her life, is Chloe about to unmask a killer? That one sounds good too. Definitely more excited for like the culty one. Book of the month, killing it in December for realsies. The next book that I purchased is The Atlas Six by Olive E. Blake. This book looks super duper interesting and it's been getting a lot of hype lately. It is about like an Alexandrian society of people who are like preserving knowledge and kind of like a dark society or like dark academia vibes, and I think it has like a competition aspect to it as well, but I'm really excited to pick this one up and see what all the hype is about, see if I like it as much as everybody else seems to. So yeah, the next book that I picked up is The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I recently read Mexican Gothic by this author and really enjoyed it, enjoyed her writing style a lot. So I wanted to pick up this book, which is one of her backlist titles. This one I believe has had some parallels drawn to like Night Circus before, which is a book I also really enjoyed. It's about two magicians who have kind of like a competitive love-hate relationship between them. They're kind of like rivals, but they also work in the same space and really have an understanding for each other. And I think it's just kind of a tension relationship between the two of them as our main character is like coming into her power and improving her magic skills. The next book that I purchased is Light from Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki. I hope I pronounced the name right. This book is really difficult to describe. First of all, appreciate the cover. Stunning, love it. This book sounds really strange, and I don't even think I could begin to describe it, but I know that it has like rival violinists in it, which really interests me because I myself am a violinist. But I'm just gonna read you the inside cover to avoid not doing this book justice with my description. Shizuki Satomi made a deal with the devil. To escape damnation, she must entice 7 other violin prodigies to trade their souls for success. She has already delivered 6. When Katrina Nguyen, a young transgender runaway, catches Shizuki's ear with her wild talent, Shizuki can almost feel the curse lifting. She's found her final candidate. So, like I said, this book sounds really strange, but I just have a feeling that I'm going to really connect with this author's writing style and really love this one. So, strange as it may be, I'm very excited. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate all of your support. If you guys don't mind taking a moment to subscribe, comment, like this video, it all really helps me, especially, you know, dealing with the algorithm and trying to get my videos out there. So any support you can give me is really appreciated. I hope you all have a fabulous week, and I will see you here next Friday. Goodbye.